Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Alabama State University has chosen a new president, Minister Gwendolyn Boyd. But guess what? She is forbidden to keep romantic company overnight in the presidential home. What do you think about that? Is this about a woman's right, or is this about a womanly example, or something more? Let's talk on the Santita Jackson Show. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. I want to hear from you on Twitter at SantitaJ and on Facebook, Santita Jackson and Friends, and let's talk about this. Alabama State University, a historically black college, has chosen a new president, Minister Gwendolyn Boyd, mechanical engineer, the first African-American woman to get a master's in engineering at Yale University. And guess what? She is now Alabama State's president, so hats off to you, Minister Boyd. And she's a minister. Well, as she was hired by the school, they said, look, eminently qualified and all of that. You're a single woman. You cannot have your romantic partner stay in the presidential home overnight. What do you think about that? Now, having gone to Howard University, and look, understanding the black culture as I do, I wasn't really shocked. But this was all over media. Time magazine covered it, the Huffington Post, everybody. So the question is this about women's rights, or is this about a womanly example? Let's talk. Co-pastor Tawana Howard of the New Breed Church here in Detroit. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dr. Patricia Wallace, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to hear what this psychologist is going to have to say to us about this. Off camera, she had a lot of questions. And of course, our legal eagle here on the Santita Jackson Show, we've been waiting for her because, of course, Attorney Linda Bernard, one of the top civil rights and family lawyers and entertainment lawyers in the country, you were in court this morning. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm glad we're having this woman's panel to talk about this issue. And let me shift to you first. Attorney Linda Bernard, not only because this is a legal issue. I mean, she had to sign this. This is her contract, right?
That's correct.
But you are also a regent at a university.
That's correct.
And I might add, she is also the first African-American to get a master's in law at the University of Pennsylvania. So go ahead. There you go.
It is a legal issue. Morals clauses are standard now in most professional service agreements, particularly for persons who are at the CEO level. So that's not unusual.
Why do you have a morals clause? Why do you need that?
Well, because you don't want your institution to be embarrassed by the conduct or behavior of the person that you've picked as CEO. If I'm drunk or disorderly or anything like that, or if I'm arrested for DUIs, for example, those things can come up. But
were you surprised by this requirement?
I think it's ridiculous. First of all, I think that she has a number of challenges that she can raise to this. Suppose she was a lesbian. When they're talking about overnight company, they're thinking of males. Mm-hmm. Suppose it's just her girlfriends. I mean, you don't know.
They even said for her family members, you can't have people just living in this housing. We hired you. If you have a family, okay. If you have a family of your own, that's a different story. But if you have family who need to come in and they need a place to stay, If you have a romantic partner, Now, I have to be honest with you, Attorney Bernard, this is where you and I disagree. I applaud Alabama State University because I don't think that the president of the university should be living with someone outside of marriage on the campus. No, I don't. Male or female. For example, yes, hit me up on Twitter, everybody. Because guess what? That's how I feel about it. I mean it. I'm very serious. I'm not joking.
I think that her proficiency as a university president should be the issue. It's just like when you go to the doctor. You don't go to the doctor and say, are you faithful to your wife? You don't really care. You just want to know if they have healing hands. In this particular case, you know, she's a top-notch administrator. She's very, very smart. She's extremely capable. She should be evaluated based on her performance as president. Her personal life is her personal life. Where she resides is where she conducts her personal life, be it with
But it's university housing,
and
she's the president of the university.
Right.
She's got to set an example for the kids.
But that's part of her package. Every university has a residence on campus. At Eastern Michigan University, where I served on the board, the president has a $3.5 million mansion.
Unbelievable.
It's huge, and we use it all the time for various events and everything. But I mean, this is ridiculous. It's none of their business what she does in her private life. If it becomes an issue, then that's something else again. If there's fights there or something like that, then that's different.
Dr. Wallace?
I'm glad that we're talking about a woman having this position, first of all.
Yes.
Because it is a male role. The question becomes...
Well, traditionally. Men have served in the role. It should be neutral, right?
Should be now. Now we've just broken that glass ceiling. But the question is...
I've got feeling the chips. Still.
Were they also expecting or having the same
if
conversation with the
male president?
Well, you know, think about it. It's hard for you to get a church. A single man coming in and getting a church, you know, people, and, you know, and even in corporate America, they want you to be married, you know, because that means that, denotes stability, right?
But not to become a president of college. That is
Do you think she should be allowed to, say, live with her boyfriend on the campus
only
or her
if
partner?
Males have been able to do it prior to now. I need to know
live on
what
the
that
campus?
history. What is the history?
Okay.
What has happened so far?
Well, let's
Why
just
are we drawing this line now?
Well, okay. Pastor, well, let me go to the co-pastor,
First of
Tawana
all,
Howard.
First of all,
okay.
It's most likely that most people marry people or date people that they work with. So most likely it would be someone else probably at her level that she would be dealing with. But the first thing is that no one has any business in anyone's bedroom. I mean, this is part of that whole Republican
and you know what?
agenda.
Then do not put your bedroom business for everybody to see on the campus. And take that off the campus. You're in the look, if I had a child and I sent them to a university where the president was living out of wedlock on the campus, I would not like that. I really would not like that, because even though I am unmarried at this time, I want to put my daughter and son on that track. I don't want them to see that. What you do in your private life is your business. But if you are presenting this kind of example, let me go to the co-pastor here. Maybe I'll have some support, maybe not. If I'm standing by myself, that's all right. I can handle it.
No, I do agree with you, Santita, because I feel that...
What?
I do. I do see it as a form of discrimination, you know, with her being a female. But at the same time, I think that
I didn't say I thought it was a form of discrimination.
No, the point of saying that this is not something that I would say is... that is wrong, because I feel that as a president that she does have a moral responsibility for her students. I had read a quote that somebody had tweeted about the situation, and they said that this is just an opportunity for her to come in and to show what what she's capable of doing when she becomes this president. How she's capable of fulfilling her roles and obligations and changing or implementing whatever change she wants to do in her position without necessarily having to have this stigma over her head. So I feel that as a president or as a leader, period, even as a pastor, it is our obligation to live a life that is going to allow those that's following us to see that this is the type of life that we are to live. This is the type of moral character that we ought to carry. And then everything else that, you know, that's just my personal feeling about the situation.
You know, I don't know if I'm going down that road on that. Okay. Because I think that adult people should have the space to conduct their lives as they please. However, I think that when you are sitting on a college campus and you have 16, 17, 18, 19 young people, year-olds coming in, young people, there is something that I want young people to see. particularly when you have a Washington Post article from 2006 in which young black kids said marriage is for white people. Now, I'm putting that in it, but quite frankly, if they were at Smith College or Radcliffe, I don't care. I mean, I would not want my daughter or my son to see that. Now, what you do in your private life when you leave the campus, to me, discretion is the better part of valor. I mean, I just, and if it were a man, I feel the same way.
What is it that they see? I mean, she goes in the house, she's not having sex on the lawn. I mean, she has company, she has guests. And if there was a male president, I bet you a dime to a dollar, they wouldn't say one word because
they
would always have an escort. I mean, people always have someone that takes them to these things and all that.
But they don't have to stay in the house with them, Attorney Bernard, Linda.
This is her private life. This is her sanctuary. This is her home.
Let's define
she has a
stay
right.
with. Let's define
right.
stay with.
I mean, and all of the kids are living with each other. I mean, 52% of all marriages end in divorce. Most people now cohabit before they marry. I mean, what planet are we on? This is 2014, not 1914.
Well, then that's where I am in 1914. Put me right there.
Let's describe what we mean by live there. Let's say that there's a snowstorm, and I got a friend, and he came in.
That's an extraordinary circumstance.
Oh, there are
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
Under an extraordinary circumstance, but if she's just
like
dating him or if he's just dating her and they just want to stay in that house,
her job
me out and pick me up. I can't take it.
Her job is to be president. Like the doctor, her job is to have healing hands. It is irrelevant to me, the sexuality of my physician, whether they're faithful to
why do
the
we have to put sexuality in it? Because we're not talking about that.
Because I mean, I bet you anything they wouldn't have any problem at all with women. Well, my girlfriend stayed over, but you don't know what the nature of that relationship is. They're only saying this probably when she has male company, because you can cover it so well when it's females.
What is the penalty? Did they say in the article?
She can be fired.
Probably
terminated. Literally
if she
violates
for
having someone stay overnight, no
because
matter what kind of job she's doing as the president.
Well, remember, we are in Alabama. Hold on. Yeah. Now, there's a cultural context to this, but quite frankly, if this were in Chicago, but we're in Alabama. The South is a very conservative place, okay? Now I'm not saying to all of my brothers and sisters in the South that all kinds of things don't happen everywhere, because they do, but there is a context in which this is happening. But also, I have to say, I want a particular, and I will stand firm on this, I'm not moving. I want young people to have a particular example. If I had a child who I sent away to college, there are some things that I want them to see, and there are some things I don't want them to see. Period. End of story. Turn the page. I'm done with that.
Why would they see it? Tell me
because
that.
They're on
the door
campus.
Is closed.
No, it's not closed, because that's the home.
Right,
that's
no one
the
comes
home.
there unless they're invited in.
Look, I just don't even want it to be known.
Let me just
that
say
they're
this to you.
living together out of wedlock on the campus. If you're
on
going to date.
It always will depend on who it is, and I think that she is being discriminated against. I think this is something that they're calling her on as an African American woman.
But I think they should call men on it too, because I don't think this is healthy for our children to see. I really don't.
If the guy that she was dating or wanted to live there was a millionaire or was a benefactor,
I wouldn't care. No, then he can
was
benefit.
Charles Barkley,
he can just go on
from Alabama, for example, or
then
someone that they liked, then they wouldn't
buy
care.
a house outside the gates.
They are saying they are saying that they think her choices.
I don't care how much money you have, how little money you
partners.
have. I'm talking about a moral tone that needs to be set.
What
whether you
tone?
have.
This is not a moral issue. This is an adult woman. Most African American women who are well established are in fact not married. So what's she supposed to be? Celibate while she's doing her job? That makes no sense. Why do we care?
I didn't say celibate. No.
Well, she's at home. That's where her bed is. That's where her shower is. That's where she wants to be.
But I still go back to,
I'm about
I think
to call.
that
excuse me, I can't take any rubber. No, really, go past it.
No,
seriously.
but
I am about to
as
call,
being in leadership, I think that we have a responsibility to represent the character, represent the morals, represent the values that we're trying to teach and demonstrate in the lives of those that's following us. And because this is representing the whole college right there on the campus, I believe that she has a responsibility as a leader to allow her lifestyle to be that she, and it adds
Where do we
validity.
draw
But
the
you know,
line?
this
It adds
is interesting.
validity
But you
to
know
who
what?
she is.
Not calling anyone out, but it's very interesting to me that you are more, I think, more liberal, more forgiving on this than this young co-pastor.
Exactly.
I'm not that young anymore.
But I'm saying, where do
trying.
we draw the line? Do we say that the stat professor cannot live with someone he's not married to? Do we say that
Oh,
the dean?
they're not the president.
No. Where do we draw the line?
No, you know, to me, look, if you have these houses, generally are right in the middle of campus,
You would
right?
never have this problem at Harvard.
Oh,
You would
Wayne
never have
State.
this
I
problem.
did not mention
at
Radcliffe
any
earlier.
Of the
I would not want my.
blip.
I don't
mean,
care
this
where
is-
they go to school. I don't want. There's some things I just don't want my children exposed to what
Right.
you do
Your
in
children
your personal
have
life.
been having sex since they were 13
Who,
or 14.
Joe? How- what is wrong
Most
with you?
of them. And,
Ah.
and they always
Oh.
live with their
How
boyfriends
much
and their
time do we have
girlfriends.
left? I think the
This
show is
a
over
new
now.
era. You know, we don't have a problem
But you know,
with
but
these
no,
things.
no, wait a minute. I do. I do.
I know you do.
I do. You know, because the studies show, and doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, young girls tend to get intimate earlier when they are missing something at home, when they don't have strong relationships with their father.
It's certainly a thought,
it
but it
is-
is not researched to the point that it says
You
we
know,
can.
let me tell you,
we can
and I'm
point
going to
this
step
out.
right out here. I don't think minors should be intimate. I do not.
Oh, I agree.
I do not.
I
You
agree.
should not do that unless you are ready to assume the responsibility for
wholeheartedly
bringing these
agree.
children in this world. Everybody gets real holy when the children get here. And you know, I keep hearing God can hit a straight lick with a crooked stick. Why don't you straighten out the stick?
Yes.
Why don't you try and do it right?
Yeah.
Now, anytime black children in particular, and I'm saying this accounts for everybody, but black children in particular are walking around believing that marriage is an impossibility. Now, would somebody give them an example? Now, this woman,
Their
she is
parents
an,
can
she is
give
an
them that
upstanding.
example.
That's
This is
right.
a 40-year-old woman
No,
plus.
she is almost
So,
60.
Well, she should be able to do what she wants to do, irrespective.
And she
I mean,
looks
this
fabulous.
is her private
in case
life.
she's watching. You look fabulous. She does. She really does.
And in terms of youth and sex and so forth, everything in their
Can we
culture
say
pushes them to intimacy. Because all you got to do is watch the videos, watch TV, listen to what they're saying, read their tweets, read everything. I mean, sexting is real.
And you know what? And they're fallen and crazy. And these people in Hollywood and in the record industry are pushing something fallen and broken on our children. Because when our parents' owned Stax Records, when they owned Motown, I mean, wait a minute. Berry Gordy today feels, with all of the great music that they produced in the 60s, the first time Motown won a Grammy was a song about drugs, Cloud 9. He does not feel good about that today. This is the most successful record company in the history of popular music. He doesn't feel good about it because he said, that basically violates my moral standard. That is not what I wanted to put forth for our people. And at some point, when you look at all of the craziness in our community right now, if you just want to look at the pain that's being expressed, it's because we're allowing too much.
It's because we're not teaching birth control. Because sex
Well,
is
you
a
don't need to
natural
be
act.
having sex anyway. Not
Sex-
some child.
there-
No. Nuh-uh.
I'm not
no.
advocating that, but I'm just saying if it's going to happen, you might as well deal
It's
with
not
it like
going to
it's
happen.
a reality.
I'm going to lock her up and put her right here.
No, it's like that's why in 7th grade right now and everything they're teaching birth control and contraception,
I don't agree
as
with
they
that.
should, because things happen. I mean, there are only 3 things that people do naturally, all mammals, and Dr. Wallace will agree. We eat, we sleep, we fornicate. Those are 3.
Well,
You could have
no,
an
we shouldn't
IQ of
fornicate.
50.
You should
Have
procreate,
sex.
right? You
No,
can have
you can have
sex.
sex. The sexual urge is an urge that you have even if you have an IQ of 60.
But you know,
So-
but Attorney Bernard, I'm not denying that. Dr. Wallace,
So
I'm not
let's
denying
not.
that.
I mean, we can't
Co-pa-
just keep pulling the wool over
I'm not,
our
but
eyes.
I'm not pulling the wool. I'm saying, wait a minute. Let us have. Can we have some standards here?
I agree
Can
with
you
that.
now? Can we say
Absolutely.
no? Can you say to children, I don't care what it feels like. You know what urges? Sometimes you have an urge to want to hurt somebody. You control that impulse.
I agree.
At some point, we have to say, thank you, Nancy Reagan. No.
Let me just throw this
Oh,
out,
Lord.
if you will, okay? We
Jesus, Mary
experience the
Joseph.
world in 4 very discrete ways. We experience the world intellectually with our mind. We experience the world with our heart, what we feel. We experience the world with our gut. And our gut is what tells us when we're crossing the street, oops, look left again. Oops, look right again.
Is
That's
that
gut.
intuition?
That's it.
Okay.
And we also experience the world with our genitals. We experience the
I
world
noticed
with
you
our
kept
genitals.
moving down.
Yes.
No
That's
joke.
exactly how we experience. So as we do, we want to know what's going on around there. We do. Now, we can't say that little girls don't have feelings or little boys don't have feelings. We
Right.
excuse the little boys' feelings and say, oh, we will let them, if you will, masturbate, do things that they can do to relieve themselves. And little girls, on the other hand, have to play on a playground and hold their urine as long as they can so that they can feel a sensation when they let go when it's time. That is a same form of masturbation. I don't know why I'm whispering. We're on TV, but
Well, we're on the word.
Okay. We're on word. Okay. My point is that there are natural things that are happening as we
all jokes
experience
aside, of course.
the world, and we cannot deny those things. We can train to try to use the brain, make the heart and the gut fit if we can, and the same thing with the genital.
But you know what,
areas.
Dr. Wallace, co-pastor, co-pastor
Yes.
Howard, come on in. I mean, I have to tell you, I do treat girls and boys differently, and I'll
Right.
tell you why. When God finished with creation, after he made woman, he was done. He did not give man the capacity to carry life, to allow a man to have a blood tie with a human being. He gave that gift to women.
Absolutely.
And so, as I think of my grandmother, who's had some health challenges, God bless her, Mrs. Gertrude Brown, I think of her saying, the problem with the world today is that there are too many women who are not together. And she put it a little more saltily than that. And I appreciate that, because we have got to get ourselves together. See, I'm not going to depend upon a man who can get excited by watching a photograph. Women are different. We do need to be a little bit more disciplined, because
Yes.
a man is looking to you. Men stop cursing when you come into the room if they feel that you are a woman who is a lady. All mess stops when a real woman walks in the room.
That's right.
And the problem is women have become envious of men. We want to be just like them. For what? Really? Stop that. So wait a minute, having a womanly example, freedom comes with responsibility. We've forgotten about that.
That's right.
Yes.
And so now we're having babies all over the place, and you want to put a halo on top of a woman just because she had a child. No, don't do that.
No, we don't want to
First
do
of all,
that.
you know, respect your child enough to think about what you're bringing your child into. Love yourself enough to put yourself in a strong position. Strong hand, strong man. Okay? A weak hand, weak man. And that goes for women too. So let's have some real discussions about that which worked years ago, because our mothers were put in a position. Let me tell you, the intimate talk that my father gave me about the birds and the bees before I went to college, it was really succinct, and it happened 30 years ago, and I'll never forget it. And it was a very hard discussion for my dad to have, because he's a daddy. Who wants to have this talk? My mother's discussion was very frank. His was very succinct. He said, do not get in a bed with a man who won't get up out of that same bed and marry you in the morning. It was simple. I never forgot it. You make sure, my mother said, you make sure you like him, you respect him, as the Bible tells you to do. And you make sure that he loves you. That's biblical. We've forgotten about that, because we've decided we're going to chase after. We've got to stop this, because my heart breaks when I see what's happening with women today. It breaks, because we're not winning. We're not. So my question is, how are we going to win? And we're not going to win being like men. I'm a woman, not a faux man.
Okay.
I'm not playing.
Okay.
And I'm not playing with these teenagers who I'm seeing who are not prepared.
But
My grandmother was prepared to be a teenage mother, but she had a village. And she will tell me, and both of them, who were teenage mothers with out of wedlock births, this is not what I want for you. And had it not been for those out of wedlock births, I wouldn't be here. But they said, wait a minute, honey, that was a hard road. I don't want that. So when I see a college president, wait a minute, women can't get these positions, a black woman can't get this position, I want something else. Pardon my rant.
A 60-year-old woman should be able, should be able to pick who she wants to spend her time with. And she ought to be able to do that in her home, in between all the breakfasts, dinners, and receptions and everything that she has to do it. Now, the problem is, I think, that they may think, well, suppose she picks a 25-year-old. Suppose she does like Tina Turner or something like that, or anything like that. I mean, we start making all these judgments about, but if she had a nice 70-year-old there, they'd probably be, or 65, they'd probably be okay.
Not in Alabama.
But I think it helps us to miss, part of the big picture. And to me, the big picture is she got the position. She had said that she read the contract, and in her reading the contract, she signed her name. And I believe that the big picture is, now that I have this position, let me use all of my wisdom, all of my intellect, and even my ability to bear the cross that I got to bear to get these students, this community that now I am responsible of, to get them to the place where they need to become. The scripture says, and I'm going to just give you a scripture, say, Jesus endured the cross because he saw the joy that was set before him. And so maybe this is her way of saying, I care more about what I'm getting ready to instill in this position. I care more about what my lifestyle, my character, what I believe in is going to shine more so than the discrimination or the clause that was written inside of this contract, because lives are getting ready to change. I'm getting ready to have an influence that's bigger than the clause. So the bigger thing is the difference.
Is bigger than the clause.
Yes.
And you know what? Perhaps the gift can be this. And I could be, you know what? I'm going to stand on this. Perhaps the gift she can present, because I'm not saying she should not have a husband or a partner. I'm not saying that. But perhaps she can show these young people how to be courted. Whoa, huh? How they should be treated. How a gentleman caller is to come to you. Perhaps that can be a gift too. Wait a minute, because I'm not with all this shacking. I'm not. And I don't apologize for it. And I want us to come back to the show and let us revisit this. I'm sure you all want to light us up on Twitter at Santita J, Facebook, Santita Jackson and Friends. But I want you to think about that. Women, you are precious, and men, we need to make you strong. And I'm going to stand on that today. Alabama State University, we love you, and we're supporting you. The cause is bigger than the clause. I'm Santita Jackson. See you next week.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Santita Jackson Show.